Hello there and welcome back. This is Newsfirst Primetime News coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Today is the 11th of March 2024. For the Newsfirst team, I am Jarma Ratnayaka.
And I'm Kiruni Karunaratna. Before we head on to your stories in detail, here's a look at your top stories for tonight.
Sumandiran, sole representative from the opposition at the President's IMF program meeting. Operation Yuktiya to be expanded from today. In-depth investigations into drug traffickers. Harakkata in court. Moved to detention until April 26th. Railway workers clash with locals in Kompanya Vidya. Trains along coastal route halted for several hours. No investors, no jobs. Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva's ultimatum for the national airline. Oppenheimer bags Best Picture at 96th Academy Awards.
We start off tonight's news with a story that broke a short while ago. One person has died in a shooting in Gurugoda, Pitigala. Police spokesman DIG Attorney Nihal Taldua said another 3 people were injured in the shooting. He said the shooting was carried out by a motorcycle gunman using a T-56 firearm. Further investigations are underway regarding the incident. Taking a look at more news, Operation Yuktiya will be expanded further from today. Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tenakon said a long-term in-depth investigation will be carried out to nab large-scale drug traffickers and drug kingpins.
9 DIGs and 45 police jurisdiction supervisors have been assigned to Operation Yuktiya. In the past 24 hours, 653 suspects have been apprehended as part of Operation Yuktiya. Among the arrested individuals, 586 suspects are directly linked to drug-related crimes. Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tenakon, who arrived at the Velevath area in Vallampitiya, inquired into the progress of Operation Yuktiya in the Nugegoda division. Suspects who were arrested in connection with drugs and various crimes during operations carried out by 17 police stations in the Nugegoda jurisdiction from last night till early this morning were also brought there.
The families of these people are used to this livelihood over a long period of time. They are unable to get out of it without an alternative because they've gotten used to it. So we will have to look at another livelihood.
The Inspector General of Police expressed these views.
I held a discussion with SSPs across Sri Lanka on Saturday. I highlighted that the reason why big fish were not caught is because the police have not conducted long-term in-depth investigations into people involved in drug trafficking. You can only catch the big fish by questioning on who brought the drugs to the village, how it was brought, and who takes it to each city. I believe some progress can be made in this regard during this phase. Organized crime is the clash of the underworld gangs. We cannot allow these to continue. We have identified cases and we have prevented some. The police and STF intervened and prevented many planned murders. So I believe we will be able to take control of this underworld or organized crime gangs before long. Then we can eradicate it. I will not allow this and I will use maximum force to stop this.
10 people were arrested on charges of drug trafficking and drug possession during a raid conducted in line with Operation Yuktiya in Borel early this morning. Operation Yuktiya was also carried out in Dehiwala, Rathmalana, Athidiya and Mount Lavinia today. A stock of Kerala cannabis and ice were found in the possession of one person riding a motorcycle during a raid carried out on Galwala Road in the Dehiwala police jurisdiction. The Modaraville area in Vadua Panadura was also subjected to a special inspection in line with Operation Yuktiya today. Police said 10 suspects were arrested for drug-related offences.
The Colombo High Court issued an order for the detention of Nadun Chintaka Vikramaratna, also known as Harakkata, until the 26th of April. Accordingly, Nadun Chintaka Vikramaratna, alias Harakkata, will be held at the detention camp run by the Counter-Terrorism Bureau, located at the old Tangol prison.
Nadun Chintaka Vikramaratna, alias Harakkata, was escorted to the Fort Magistrates Court with Special Police STF detail. He was moved to court as the period granted to detail and interrogate him at the Criminal Investigations Department expired, and he was held by the CID for 362 days. Upon making submissions to the Fort Magistrates Court, the CID informed the judge that the suspect is to be produced to the Colombo High Court as well. Accordingly, the Sri Lanka prisons officials with the Police Special Task Force escort moved the suspect to the Colombo High Court based on an order given by the Fort Magistrates Court. At the Colombo High Court, the Attorney General presented indictments that included 22 charges against 2 suspects, which included attempting to escape by assaulting a police STF officer and aiding in the said escape attempt. The charges were presented against Nadun Chintaka Wickramaratne alias Harakkata and another Dinesh Tharanga, who was identified as the driver of the getaway car. State Counsel Sajith Bandara informed the court that the first accused, while in detention, had acted in a manner that threatened national security and also the lives of the detectives attached to the Criminal Investigation Department. He informed the court that based on these circumstances, the Defence Secretary had decided to move the suspect to the Old Tangol prison, where suspects arrested under the Prevention of Terrorism Act are detained. Moreover, the Colombo High Court judge issued a warrant for the arrest of Police Constable Ravindu Sandeepa, the second suspect in the case, who is absconding court.
A high-level discussion took place at the President's office earlier today. ITAC parliamentarian M.A. Sumandiran, President's Counsel, was the sole opposition representative at this meeting. During the weekend, the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Jatika Jana Balawegaya and the other opposition factions said they will not attend this meeting.
The key figures from the state that attended the discussion with the President include Ministers of State for Finance, Shehan Semsingha and Ranjit Siambalapitiya, Senior Advisor to the President on National Security and Chief of Presidential Staff Sagala Ratnayaka, Secretary to the President Saman Nekanayaka, Governor of the Central Bank Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, Secretary to the Treasury and Finance Ministry K. Mahinda Siriwardana, among other officials. Invitations were extended to prominent opposition figures including Sajith Premadasa, Anurakumara Desanayaka and S. Sridharan, leader of the Tamil National Alliance, with an open invitation for additional participants to accompany them. However, M.S. Sumandiran was the sole participant from the opposition at this meeting.
The President had invited the opposition party leaders for a discussion on the IMF program. I was the only member of the opposition present today. I raised a number of concerns with regard to the IMF program that is being implemented. Apparently there will be another meeting directly with the IMF representatives, but today was the initial discussion with only the government. Primarily the concern that I raised was that there is a lack of transparency with regard to these recommendations that the IMF has made. In the lack of transparency arises in this way, that there are no published technical assistance reports of the IMF. With regard to revenue increase, I raised as example the question as to why withholding tax rate was not increased to immediately raise revenue. But based on the fact that there is the revenue authorities are not collecting targeted taxes, the VAT rate was increased to 18%, which affects all the people, particularly the poor in the country. Since I was the only member present today, they agreed to give it to me and also to any opposition party leader who requests for it. It is only after receiving those technical assistance reports, which hopefully will contain some analysis as to why IMF has made certain recommendations, that we can then decide whether this program can be supported or not. As it is, we are unable to support the IMF program for primarily for lack of transparency.
State Finance Minister Singha spoke to reporters following the meeting.
It was only Mr. Sumandiran joined from the opposition. Mr. Sumandiran raised certain concerns and also needed certain clarifications on the program, and the President agreed to share the requested information with the Honourable Member, and the President also offered a further discussion if the opposition needs to discuss on this matter. But however, the feeling what we have is the opposition was looking for reasons not to join the meeting rather than joining the meeting and having a constructive discussion with the authorities and the IMF. But unfortunately, the other parties, the SJB, the Samagi Jana Balawege, the JVP, they wanted the sensitive information to be shared. But we are in the view that most sensitive information cannot be shared right now. The President is willing to facilitate a further discussion so that if the opposition has credible programs, acceptable programs, accepted alternative programs, the government is willing to discuss, and if changes are required, the President has very clearly said that he is willing to make the changes and introduce the amendments to Parliament.
The invitation extended to opposition parties to engage with the IMF mission was a subject of discussion in the country's political arena. Professor G.L. Piris from the Freedom People's Congress shared the following thoughts.
We are ready to engage with the IMF. This is not our first meeting. We have discussed with them before as well. However, we are not ready to meet with them in the presence of the President. If the state genuinely wanted the views of the opposition, it should be done soon after the staff-level agreement was reached with the IMF. However, they have decided to invite us only now. We will not attend these meetings. However, we will opt to meet with the IMF delegates separately.
Hirunika Premachandra expressed the following.
He
wants to have the SJB, JJB and others in the same table with the IMF. The consequences will have to be faced by the next president. Then he can say that he did not do this alone and can pass the blame to the other two parties, citing that they agreed to it. Everyone will then have to agree to his decisions. That is why we do not accept his invitations.
Leader of the Pivituru Heluru Mayor, MP Uday Gamampila, said he was not invited for the meeting.
The President has strategically only invited the parties that contested the polls directly. The others were not invited. Although we are open to engage with the IMF, we are against the agreement that was signed. The agreement is not in favour of the country. If we were invited, we would have raised concerns over the content in this agreement. That may be the reason we were left out.
A delegation from the Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka met with Vimal Weerawansa, the leader of the National Freedom Front. Following this meeting, Weerawansa commented on the meeting that was scheduled earlier in the day with the IMF mission.
We have nothing to discuss with the IMF as the agreements have been signed. They are dancing to the tune of the IMF. There will be no change in the program, even if we criticize it. There is no need to waste time, and that is why we rejected it.
When's the election?
Professor G.L. Piris responded to a statement made by President Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday during the United National Party's inaugural campaign rally in Kuliapitiya.
Mahinda
Rajapaksa's aide, G.L. Piris, was taken over to that side. He isn't saying anything bad against Mahinda. The SJB is full of aides and henchmen. There is no place for true UNPers.
Ranil
Wickremesinghe was a very calm and decent character when I taught him during his years at the university. He used words very carefully to fit the occasion. We witnessed a contrasting figure in Kuliapitiya yesterday. I cannot believe that it is the same person. The character we know and the one we saw on stage yesterday were not the same. The change is unbelievable. He is attacking everyone with a vengeance. His speech had no substance, only slander. We do not falter in the face of criticism. We do not shy away, regardless of the words used to describe us. A process is only criticized if it seems successful. There is no greater evidence of that than continuous criticism.
Meanwhile, the former chairman of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka, Janaka Ratnayaka, launched an election operations office in Colombo today. He launched this election campaign under the name of National Civil Organisation Front. Several civil and mass organisations joined with Ratnayaka, where the campaign's theme is Shaktima Jatika Arthikayak, Dushanen Thora Ratak, loosely translated to a strong national economy and a country free of corruption.
I hope the public will not be stupid, but rather use their intelligence when making decisions, sending representatives to the parliament, or even when electing the president. If so, we have some hope in coming out of this crisis. I won't say that I am the most appropriate candidate for presidency. If I feel that there is a better candidate out there, it does not matter if it is the X candidate, the Y candidate, or even the Z candidate. I will extend my fullest support to that person along with the other organizations as well. That is because we need a good and courageous leader who understands the economy.
Aviation Minister Siripala de Silva has cautioned that without securing an investor, there is a significant risk of job losses among Sri Lankan Airlines employees. He highlighted the availability of a $60 million fund from the Treasury, emphasizing the need to leverage this resource over the next 6 months to bolster the company's stability and resilience.
Minister Siripala de Silva met with the representatives of the Sri Lankan Airlines Trade Union. The board of directors of the company was also present during this meeting.
Even though Sri Lankan Airlines conducted their commercial activities throughout the years, there was no specific fund allocated for the security of its employees like other companies. Therefore, if we were unable to lock in a suitable investor, there is the possibility of the employees losing their jobs. Furthermore, the President had instructed the Treasury to allocate $60 million for various activities of the airline. Through these series of investments, we will be able to make the fiscal management of the airline somewhat relaxed. Today, I have called the board of directors of the company, trade union representatives and the top management of Sri Lankan Airlines to explain this situation. I requested them to take the necessary steps to reap the maximum benefit of the funds provided by the Treasury to stabilize the airline and turn it into a profit-generating institution.
The petitions that had previously secured orders suspending the divestment of Sri Lanka Telecom and Lanka hospitals were withdrawn by the petitioners today. One petition was submitted by Laika Mobile SARL and Petigo Commercial International regarding Sri Lanka Telecom. Now the other was submitted by Laika Leasing Holding Limited and another entity regarding Lanka Hospitals PLC.
The petitions were called up in the presence of Appeals Court Justice D.N. Samarakon. The petitioners informed the court through their legal representatives that they intend to withdraw the existing petitions while reserving the right to submit new petitions in the future. When the writ applications were taken up earlier, Additional Solicitor General Sumathi Dharmawardana, appearing for the Attorney General's Department, informed the court that irrelevant persons have also been named as respondents in these petitions. Accordingly, the Additional Solicitor General pointed out to the court that the petitions misled the Court of Appeal. The petitioners' lawyers had stated that it is not possible to name the President as a respondent. Therefore, they also said that the Attorney General cannot present facts before court on behalf of the President. However, when the petitions were called again today, the lawyers representing the petitioners informed court that due to the issues in the petitions will be withdrawn. Accordingly, the petitions were dismissed by the court.
Train travel along the coastal line was disrupted for several hours today owing to a protest by employees of Sri Lanka Railways. The protest had taken place due to a conflict between a group of railway employees and residents of Kompanya concerning a wall.
Newsfirst cameras captured the manner in which a group of railway workers were obstructing the railway track in Kompanya. Sri Lanka Railways said train travel along the coastal route was halted for several hours owing to this. Railway Superintendent Enjaindi Polage revealed a group of railway workers residing at the railway quarters in Kompanya had been assaulted by several area residents. 3 people have been admitted to hospital following the assault. An argument over a border wall had arisen several days ago between workers residing at the railway quarters in Kompanya and locals. Locals allege that the railway workers had erected a wall obstructing their legally declared access road. The wall had been knocked down by the locals last morning.
දෙදස් 12 මේ ඉඩම ගත්තා. ඒකට පස්සේ මේක අදලා ඉවර වෙනකොට අපිට කලින් මේ සීජාර් කට්ටිය ගෙනල්ලා මෙතන පදිංචි කරා. මේකලම් මොනවද කරද? අපේ බිල්ඩින් අපි එන්න සති දෙකක් තියෙද්දි මේකලම් බැලුවා ඩක් ගාලා මෙතනින් තාප්පියක් ගාලා වැවුවා මේ වැඩ කරන කට්ටිය. පාරක් අපි එන්න ඕන එළදිගේ වටේ එන රවුමක් කැරකිලා.
පොදු පාර අපිට අවශ්‍යයි. ඉතින් කවුද කියලා කැඩුවා කියලා මට කියන්න බෑ. ජනතාවට අයිති පාර ජනතාව ගත්තා ඉච්චරයි.
In contrast, railway workers residing at the quarters claim the locals are attempting to establish another road while an access road is already in place.
ඒගොල්ලන්ට පාරක් තියෙනවා. නිශ්චිත අවුරුදු 35ක පමණ පාරක් තියෙනවා. ඒ අයිට අමතර මේ පාරක් ඉල්ලනවා මේක. අපේ ගෙදරට ගිහලා මගේ නෝනට පාර දීලා මගේ පුතාගේ බෑනට පාර දීලා දැන් ඒගොල්ලෝ රෝහල් ගතලා මේ වෙනකොට ඉන්නේ. ඊයරා 3 දිනේ පාන්දර 3ට ආවා. අපි පොලිසියට ගියා. පොලිසියට ගියාම කවුරුත් කතා කරේ නෑ අපිට. පොලිසියෙන් කතා කරලා කිව්වා. මේ දාන්න කිව්වා. රජයේ දේපොළ වලට ගහලා තින්නේ. මම ගැහුවා කොහොමද? පැමිණිල්ල පාර ගත්තේ නැහැ කියන්නේ කොහොමද? දැන් මොකක්ද මෙයා පැමිණිල්ල ලිව්වද? පාර දීපු සම්බන්ධව. මීර එන්නකෝ. පාර දීම සම්බන්ධ පැමිණිලි ලිව්වද? පැමිණිලි රයිට් අපි ඔයාලට සාධාරණය කරනවා. අපි ගැන විශ්වාස කරන්න. මේ දැන් තමයි. හරි ඒක අපි කරන්නේ. ඔයා බලන්නකෝ ඉතින්. මේ පැමිණිලි ලියන්නකෝ යනවා. ඉල්ලක් බාර ගත්තේ නැහැ සර් පැමිණිල්ල. අපිට වේදනාවක්. හරි දැන් ඔයා දෙන්න සර් ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි දෙන්නකෝ. ගාලා කුටි කාලි ඉවරනේ අපි. මෙයාට ගහපුවා වීඩියෝ එකේ තියෙනවා. මෙන්න මෙයා එක්කනේ. ඒගොල්ලන්ට එන්න කියන්නේ පොලිසියට. මේක සාකච්ඡා කරන්න පොලිසියට එන්න කියන්නේ. මෙයා ගැව්වා. කවුද ගැව්වේ?
The protest was suspended once the police intervened.
The strike initiated by employees of the Central Mail Exchange will be in effect until midnight today. Joint convener of the Joint Postal Trade Union Front, Chintaka Bandara, says that over 200,000 parcels are accumulated at the Central Mail Exchange as a result of this strike. Employees at the Central Mail Exchange in Colombo have initiated a strike in response to the non-repair of 2 elevators that have been out of service in the 8-story building.
There are many elderly people who are postal officials. There are pregnant mothers. 30% of postal workers are women. All of them need to move around within this 8-story building. Some of the women face accidents when using the staircases. Our requirement is for the authorities to repair these 2 elevators that are currently out of service.
When inquired in this regard, Postmaster General P. Satkumara said that about a week ago, a private company had been given the responsibility of renovating the 25-year-old elevator in question. The Postmaster General also said that this was done after following through a proper procurement process.
A group of activists protested near the central bank today, citing the recent salary hike for CBSL employees.
Several activists attempted to enter the Central Bank of Sri Lanka to demand an explanation into the recent salary hike. However, the police obstructed their way. Subsequently, the group protested near the entrance of the Central Bank.
The salary of an office assistant has increased by more than 100,000 rupees through this illegal salary hike. We are protesting against this unjust and illegal increase because this has been achieved by shutting down 26,000 industries, looting land and increasing interest rates.
Newsfirst with the people.
The 5-day endeavour of Sri Lanka Air Force Air Tattoo 2024, meticulously organised and held at the Mutharveli ground in Jaffna, culminated yesterday on a note of remarkable success.
The Royal Ceylon Air Force was born on the 2nd of March in 1951, and in 2024 what transformed to the Sri Lankan Air Force celebrated its 73rd anniversary of protecting the Sri Lankan sky. The 5-day endeavour of the Sri Lankan Air Force Air Tattoo 2024, meticulously organised and held at Mutharveli ground in Jaffna, culminated yesterday. The event concluded in the presence of the Chief of Staff to the President, Sagala Ratnayaka. PT-6 trainer aircraft performed a flyby, adding colour to the event. The Sri Lanka Air Force has orchestrated a captivating exhibition that leaves spectators in awe. It included advanced aircraft operations, enhanced security measures, parachute spectacles, firefighting demonstrations, emergency rescue scenarios, unnamed aerial systems, among others. The mock rescue operation by the Regimental Special Forces of the Sri Lanka Air Force caught the attention of those gathered. The R-29B-300 Type 55B twin-spool turbojet engine used on MiG-27 supersonic jet was donated to the University of Jaffna.
We have always celebrated our anniversary centre in Colombo. We decided we need to move to the north and meet the people. We have joined with the people of the north, and through this we believe that we can move forward as a nation. On the 30th, 31st of May, 1st and 2nd of June, we have planned for a massive air show at the port city. If the students perform well, we will give them an opportunity to witness it.
Before we take a look at world news, another shooting was reported in Ambalangada a short while ago. According to the police spokesperson, one person was killed and two others have been injured. Earlier this evening, a shooting in Pittigala left one person dead and three others injured. Stay tuned to Newsfirst as we bring you more comprehensive details into all these shootings. Taking a look at news from neighboring India. India has signed a $100 billion free trade agreement with a 4-member European bloc and will lift most import tariffs on industrial products from these countries in return for the investment over 15 years.
Over the weekend, the European Free Trade Agreement states Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland and India signed a trade and economic partnership agreement. The negotiations between EFTA and India started in 2008. 21 rounds of negotiations were needed to reach an agreement on the 10th of March 2024. The agreement comprises of 14 chapters with main focus on market access related to goods, rules of origin, trade facilitation, trade remedies, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, technical barriers to trade, investment promotion, market access on services, intellectual property rights, trade and sustainable development and other legal and horizontal provisions. EFTA has committed to promote investments with the aim to increase the stock of foreign direct investments by $100 billion in India in the next 15 years and to facilitate the generation of 1 million direct employment in India through such investments. The investments do not cover foreign portfolio investment. For the first ever time in the history of FTAs, a legal commitment is being made about promoting target-oriented investment and creation of jobs. EFTA is offering 92.2% of its tariff lines, which covers 99.6% of India's exports. The EFTA's market access offer covers 100% of non-agri products and tariff concession on processed agricultural products. India is offering 82.7% of its tariff lines, which covers 95.3% of EFTA exports, of which more than 80% import is gold. The Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement provides an opportunity to integrate into EU markets. Over 40% of Switzerland's global services exports are to the EU. Indian companies can look to Switzerland as a base for extending its market reach to the EU.
The Maldives has for the first time acquired surveillance drones from Turkey for patrolling its vast exclusive economic zone.
Within days of the Maldives inking a defense deal to obtain non-lethal weapons from China, the archipelago nation in the Indian Ocean has acquired drones from Turkey for patrolling its vast exclusive economic zone. The Maldives government is likely to start operations of the drones within the next week. However, the exact number of drones was not clear, nor was there any official confirmation from the Maldives Minister of Defense or Foreign Ministry. Pro-China President Mohammad Muitsu, upon his return from China, indicated that the government was looking to acquire surveillance drones. drones. On the 4th of March, Muitsu also announced that his country is working to establish a 24/7 monitoring system for the Maldivian waters this month to ensure control of its exclusive economic zone despite its significantly large area. International media reported that $37 million was allocated from the state's contingency budget to purchase the drones.
In some entertainment news, the 96th Academy Awards, fondly known as the Oscars, were held at the Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles and were once again hosted by Jimmy Kimmel. Oppenheimer had the most wins of the night, taking home 7 awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, as well as Best Director.
Live from the Dolby Theatre at Aviation Hollywood, please welcome tonight's host, Jimmy
Jimmy Kimmel hosted the 96th Oscars live from the Dolby Theatre at Ovation Hollywood. Heading into the evening, Christopher Nolan's IMAX-sized biopic Oppenheimer was the year's most nominated film, with 13 total nominations, followed by Yorgos Lanthimos' mad comedy Poor Things with 11 nominations, and Martin Scorsese's historical crime drama Killers of the Flower Moon with 10. Oscars in all 23 categories were handed out by an all-star slate of presenters, including the return of the Fab 5 format, which features 5 former winners presenting each of the acting categories. Oppenheimer won the biggest awards of the night, with the film's director Christopher Nolan taking home the Best Director Oscar, actor Cillian Murphy winning the Best Actor award, and the film earning the coveted Best Picture among its 7 overall wins. The film, which was the most nominated film at the 2024 Oscars with 13 nominations, also won the Oscars for Best Supporting Actor for Robert Downey Jr., Best Film Editing, Best Cinematography, and Best Original Score.
Oh my goodness! Wow!
Emma Stone took home the Best Actress prize for her performance as Bella Baxter in Yorgos Lanthimos' Poor Things. Darwin Joy Randolph won Best Supporting Actress for her role in The Holdovers. Ryan Gosling brought the Kenergy as he performed nominated track I'm Just Ken at Sunday's Oscars. The Best Supporting Actor nominee donned a sparkling pink suit as he exuded confidence on stage, accompanied by his Barbie co-stars and Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash.
John Cena's half-naked pictures from the Oscars 2024 event have spread like a wildfire on the internet since this morning. Now, Cena, who was there to present the award for the best costume himself, went on stage without a costume, only with an envelope covering his midsection.
WWE superstar John Cena had the audience at Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles in stitches with his act, but it makes you wonder why he did it. This whole spectacle was in reference to a 1974 Oscars event when a streaker came on the stage behind presenter David Niven. Recalling this incident, host Jimmy Kimmel asked the audience if they could imagine a nude man walking on the stage.
I said, can you imagine if a nude man ran across the stage today? Wouldn't that be crazy?
Psst, Jimmy.
What? I can't come there. I'll do the thing. Excuse me for a second. What's going on? You're supposed to run across the stage.
However, images have surfaced on the internet to claim that John Cena was not fully nude, but wearing an undergarment that was in nude color.
With John Cena's antiques, we bring to a close tonight's edition of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.